About one more round of applause for our high school pep band. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending tonight's Board of Education meeting here, October 6, 2022. It is homecoming week. As you can see, we are all in our blue and gold and spirited and ready for our weekend festivities. If you could all kindly stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and let the record show that all board members, with the exception of Mr. Antonello and Mrs. Kelly, are present tonight. Okay, I have a couple announcements I'd like to start off with. So the first one, the West Islip Board of Education and School District is responding to Senator John Brooks regarding Memo 1388/A-939 with regards to property tax relief. In summary, the core idea of the bill that's being presented is to identify homeowners who are overburdened by their share of school property taxes and to provide them with tax relief. The plan identifies homeowners who pay more than 50% of their total tax levy in a school district. West Islip is identified as one of those districts. School districts have three revenue systems: state aid, commercial property, and residential property. The current system does not consider the balance in which each source funds a district. When the balance is out of proportion, as it is here in West Islip, it leads to overburdened homeowners. So the solution is to place a 50% cap on the homeowner's share. This would force a lower levy in districts where homeowners are overburdened. Overall, the plan provides lower property tax levies for homeowners with fiscal costs going to the state. While the details of working out how to lower the levy is challenging, 1388 puts forth a plan that can accomplish meaningful tax relief to the homeowners of West Islip, which is why we, as a school board and district, are in full support of this bill. How much and when are not the answers that I currently have, but will be more than happy to share when I do. If you have any other questions regarding this, both Dr. Romanelli and Ms. Pilati will be able to answer. Moving along, Friday, the JV and varsity girls volleyball team will be fundraising for the Desi Strong Foundation. So if you happen to be around and you want to go see not only some great volleyball, but you come to the high school in the girls' gym, there's a great fundraiser for a great cause where 100% of the proceeds will be going to the Desi Strong Foundation. The varsity game begins at 4:30 with JV to follow. Also looking at the school calendars, Halloween parades are back on the calendars, so I know the community and the little guys are very excited, and as are we as a school board. Also, Dyslexia Awareness Month is in October. Students will be encouraged to wear red to school on October 14th. We have dyslexia fact sheets in the main lobby of every school, and a parent letter will be sent home tomorrow and posted on the district website. At this time, I would like to invite anyone from the public up who would like to speak on an agenda item. Okay. Do I have, oh, I'm so sorry. There is a card. Not, okay.
Good evening,
Is this,
Board.
I'm sorry, are you Mr. Luncheon?
Glenn Luchin.
Luchin,
Yes,
okay.
my name is Glenn Luchin.
Glenn, all right, so this is a non-agenda item, so we'll have you speak at the end of the board meeting when we open up to public?
Oh, okay.
All right,
Sorry.
that's okay, you will be first on our list to speak.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much for your understanding. Can I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes of the September 20th, 2022 planning session?
So, second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. So we'd like to take a moment tonight to recognize, it is our School Board Recognition Month. We'll be celebrating School Board Recognition Week today. And, you know, historically, school boards have been formed to keep the public in public education. They're uniquely American and provide the conduit that delivers the community's values and will into its schools. The truth implies that in our democracy, the functions and decisions of the school boards are important. Certainly, we believe this, and it's not an exaggeration to say that the decisions and actions of our school board really live on with our students and in our community for many, many years to come. So we wanted to take a moment tonight to recognize our school board, our volunteers, and tell them how much we appreciate them. And actually, it would be better to hear it from the people that they serve best, our students of the district. So I'm going to cue up a quick video for you, for our school board members. Nice surprise.
I want to thank the Board of Education for always thinking about what we need and making sure we get it.
Thank you to the board for investing in all of the great programs that help us learn.
Thank you to all of our Board of Education members for volunteering their time to help all students.
Hey, they don't get paid for this, people. I appreciate the board members for keeping us safe at school.
Thank you for making tough decisions for the benefit of the students.
Thank you to the Board of Education for caring about us and making school fun.
I want to thank the Board of Education for hiring some amazing staff to reach our goals.
Thank you to our board for investing in great programs to help us learn.
I just want to wish the Board of Education a happy Board Recognition Week.
Thank you for making West Islip the best.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll send you a copy of that as well. We also have just some additional gifts that we'd like to pass out to you at this time.
While you're doing that, I have to say that might have been the best moment I've had on as a board member. So,
Second.
yeah, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. So we appreciate your service and all you do for the students of this district. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Dr. Romanelli and the team. This is great, and if you you obviously know me really well because I'm always in need of organizational. Thank you very much.
We'd also just like to, if it's okay with you, Mr. Tussey, we'd like to present you with a certificate of recognition for you and the remainder of the board, and have our central office come up and take a quick picture. Absolutely recognize you. We'll go right in front of the.
The whole building and ground span. Yeah.
Thank you. Perfect. Ready? Thank you.
I also wanted to take a moment to thank Mr. Haran for supplying us with the jerseys that we are wearing tonight. I was all excited to put a football jersey on for the first time since high school, until I realized that I'm not in the same shape I was in high school, so I went with the volleyball jersey and now the ball. So, with that being said, I'd like to turn things over to Mr. Taylor for personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. May I have a motion for the approval of the personnel agenda as listed in your backup?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. That's all we have, right? That was consent? Okay, sounds good. Curriculum update, Mrs. Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Good evening, everybody. The district is continuing to roll out standards-based grading at the elementary level. Ongoing PD has been provided for our teachers and will continue to be provided. We will be spending a significant amount of time on our upcoming superintendent's conference day, focusing in on the content areas, the various standards, and how our teachers can be assessing students according to those standards. We have 2 remaining parent academies. One is scheduled for October 17th, and the other is scheduled for November 15th at Paul J. Ballou in the auditorium at 6 p.m. to explain to parents the basics of standards-based grading. We will hold additional parent academies going forward as we get more in-depth into the process. I did just recently receive some requests to host a virtual parent academy on this topic, and I will be looking to schedule one of those shortly. Speaking about Superintendent's Conference Day, we have Superintendent's Conference Day coming up on November 8th. As I just mentioned, our elementary teachers will be engaged in standards-based grading professional development in the morning, and then we'll join our staff at the high school in the afternoon for a keynote address from George Koros. George Koros is a world-renowned author who really speaks about fostering innovation and creativity and encouragement in our students. So we're very fortunate to have Mr. Koros coming to be a keynote speaker at our Superintendent's Conference Day. At the secondary level, we will be following an Ed Camp model where teachers will be able to pick various sessions that appeal to them. They will have an opportunity to sit with colleagues throughout these sessions and have opportunity afterwards to reflect. I am very pleased to announce that many of our sessions are being facilitated by our own teachers and staff members. We are fortunate here to have some very, very talented staff members, and they are going to provide a great day of learning for us. We continue to prepare for the curriculum review process. The administrative team has met several times already this school year. We are working on establishing goals, timelines, the evaluated tools and documents that will be utilized, the review cycle process, and identifying the stakeholders who will take part in the various phases of the process. So information will continue to be provided for that over the coming months. Our K-8 students recently finished benchmarking via the Ames Web screener. They were all benchmarked in reading and math. It's one measure that's utilized to determine whether students are in need of interventions or additional supports. The results will be shared with parents on October 17th via the portal. A letter will be going home from me on October 13th explaining how parents can access the portal and how they can read and review the results of the assessment, and any questions should be directed to your child's teacher. Thank you, Mr. Tussey.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Morrison. We do have several board committee reports to go, so let's start with the Health and Wellness Committee. Mrs. Brown.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Before I get started with health and wellness, I just wanted to say something about Dyslexia Awareness Month. On behalf of the parents and students, I wanted to thank Dr. Romanelli and the administrative team and board members for making Dyslexia Awareness a district-wide event this year. I know a lot of moms and dads and teachers and PTA members and students are going to be very happy as well. Raising awareness means gaining the knowledge to do better and support kids who learn in a unique way. So to my dyslexic friends that have a stomach ache every day before school or are afraid that their best isn't cutting it, they know every trick to get out of class to avoid reading out loud, feel they are not smart, are told they're not trying hard enough, take twice as long to do homework as their peers, study 3 times as hard as their classmates just to pass, find it hard to get through the day in a world where constant reading, writing, and spelling are a part of almost every moment. Know that we see you and we are doing better. And now on to health and wellness. The Health and Wellness Committee met on Tuesday, September 20th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. In attendance were myself, Tim Horan, Rhonda Pratt, Ann Marshall, Lynn Summers, Dave Rubano, Sharon Kerrigan, Ariana Stubman, Lisa Curley, Christine Elefanti, Lauren Albanese, Diana Sepe, Megan Shu, Mark Soto, Monica Fogarty, Dr. Anthony Carino, Melanie Steinmeiss, and Barbara Boris. We started with welcome and introductions. We reviewed the mission statement of the Health and Wellness Committee, which is the West Islip Health and Wellness Alliance of Volunteers unites to reduce substance abuse among youth, create a strong collaboration within the community, and cultivate healthy attitudes and behaviors. We completed a review of past health and wellness initiatives. We reviewed the financial report. We were informed that the Spring into Wellness event from May 2022 was a successful event. The 2022 Color Run is Sunday, October 16th at 10 a.m. at the West Islip High School. You can pre-register on My School Bucks. Walk-up registration will occur on the day of event, will be available on the day of the event. It's a cost of $8 per person, $30 for families of 4 or more. Donations are also being accepted to fund health and wellness initiatives. The first 300 pre-registered will receive a t-shirt. Adult and student volunteers, I believe, are still needed. The Color Run information will be shared via Parent Square on the district website in each school district. There will be an elementary participation contest, and the winner will receive $150 for supplies. Additional color packets and sunglasses will be for sale at the event. The Family Connect Night schedule has been shared with the community. Health and Wellness will try to schedule a 2023 Spring into Wellness event on the May Family Connect Night. Health and Wellness will also try to work with local businesses to provide family fun events on Family Connect evenings. The Alliance voted to increase the annual senior scholarship to 2 $500 scholarships. The 2022 committee survey was discussed. The Alliance reviewed community surveys on potential workshops. The Alliance will focus the first workshop on mobile device safety. We discussed the fact that members can submit articles to the newsletter. We discussed inspirational, motivational posters were shared with each of the schools for display. The annual breast cancer awareness day will be October 21st, 2022, and the Alliance will once again support that initiative. The 2022-2023 Health and Wellness meeting dates were shared, and the next committee date is October 11th at 9:30 in the Paul J. Ballou cafeteria, and the meeting adjourned around 11 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. On to the Safety Committee with Mr. Compitello.
Good evening, y'all. The Safety Committee and Security Committee met on 20 September at 18:15 hours here at Beach Street. Members present, Dr. Romanelli, Ms. Morrison, Ms. Pilati, Dr. Bridgman, Mr. Poser, Mr. Rand, Mr. Maniscalco, Mr. Marquardt, Mr. Mullins, Mr. O'Farrell, Ms. Pratt, Ms. Williams, Mr. Bossi, Mr. McAlevey, myself, Don Lettieri, Joe Dixon, Phil King. All right, the agenda items. The blue light system is up and operational throughout the district. Cameras and servers are all up and operational. We ordered some more replacement ones for the high school. Unfortunately, it'll take about 4 or 5 months to get in. Lead time is huge. The scholarship system is in effect right now. All IDs have been printed, and hopefully by the end of the week, they'll be integrated with the Gallagher system, and we can use access to the school door systems. Classroom locks are checked. Speed bumps on Lions Pass are all operational. District-wide, there are signs saying the school grounds are closed during school hours to visitors. All right, possibility of armed guards will be discussed. We'll get back to that later. Suffolk County Police, we share a resource officer with Brentwood. We're also talking about placing additional crossing guards at Paul J. Ballou, especially during hours of arrival and dismissal, for the intention of putting in more traffic violations. At 1850 hours, we secured, and that'd be it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Compitello. On to the Building and Grounds Committee with Mr. McCann.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Hold on, Mr. McKinn.
Yes.
They're probably telling you something. that
Yeah, I
we're
know.
already cut the mic off.
I know. Mr. Tussey cuts my mic off at a certain point, so. Good evening, everyone. Great to see everyone out. Thanks to the pep band for the introduction here. It is Spirit Week, and homecoming is coming up Saturday, so everyone's excited about that. Really, what part of what West Islip is about, the community events. We have a homecoming parade at 1 o'clock down Higbee Lane, and then 2 o'clock is the game. Great event if everyone can come out. But onto the Buildings and Grounds Committee. We have our Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting actually coming up on October 18th. We didn't have one this week because of the holiday schedule. But the two highlights at that meeting that we will be talking about, we are looking for updates on the quotes for the air conditioning that will be available for all of the classrooms in the district. So we're going to review that. We also want to have a discussion amongst the board on the three projects that may happen with the Macera property. So if you all remember, for about 8 months, we went through a community advisory board, which met on a monthly basis with a moderator and looked at all the different possibilities that we could use the Macera property for. Those recommendations were given to the board at our August meeting, and now it's time for the board to discuss those three options and the next steps. So that meeting is October 18th here at Beach Street at 7 o'clock before our planning meeting, open to the public. We're not going to take further discussion, but we'll have the discussion between the board as to how we move forward with those potential three options. Otherwise, the air conditionings in the cafeterias are all up and running here in the schools. The solar panels are all functioning except for the high school, waiting for some parts on. Really, we'll get an update on all of the capital reserve projects and the bond projects that are continuing going on in the school. So if you need to, please come down on the 18th and hear those two discussions because I think they're important for the community. So October 18th. So thank you, Mr. Tussey.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McKinn. Education Committee, Mrs. Brown.
Good evening again. The Education Committee met on Monday, October 3rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Beach. In attendance were committee members including myself, Rich Antonello, Grace Kelly, Dr. Romanelli, Dawn Morrison, Elisa Pilati, Brian Taylor, as well as board members Pete McCann, Tom Compatello, and Ron McGinnis. Also in attendance were the following administrative team members: Dr. James Grover, Director of Math and Business, Mrs. Lauren Lay, Director of 6 to 12 English E&L, K through 12, and LMC K through 12, Miss Elise Patty, Lead Teacher of World Languages. The administrative team provided an update to the Education Committee in regard to student performance on the June 2022 Regents, AP, and IB exams. In math, West Islip students scored at or above the region on most questions noted on various Regents exams, above state and global levels on most AP exams, and above student performance worldwide on IB exams. In English, West Islip students consistently scored above the region on all questions noted on the Regents exam, above state and global levels on all AP exams, and in line with student performance worldwide on IB exams. In world language, West Islip students who took the ASL, Italian, and Spanish A and B exams had an overall pass rate of 94%, an overall mastery rate, which is the number of students who scored above an 85, of 52%, above the state and global levels on the AP exam, and slightly below the worldwide average on IB exams. Mrs. Morrison provided all committee members with a draft of the proposed 2022-2025 professional development plan. The plan was updated by the district's professional development committee. The board will review the plan for approval at the next education committee. We discussed Superintendent's Conference Day, which is Tuesday, November 8th, 2022. As Mrs. Morrison shared, pre-K to 12 staff will take part in the professional learning on Tuesday, November 8th, Superintendent's Conference Day. School is not in session for students on November 8th. Mrs. Morrison shared that Dr. Michelle Walsh Director of ELA K through 6 and Intervention Services K through 12 will attend November's Education Committee meeting to share and discuss the data gleaned from fall Ames Web benchmark assessments for K to 8 students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. We have Finance Committee with Mr. McGinnis.
The committee met on October 3rd. Committee members present, Bruce Kelly, Peter McCann, and myself. Board members in attendance, Stan Romero, Debbie Brown, and Tom Campatello. Administrators present, Dr. Romanelli, Elise Pilati, Ron Morrison, and Brian Taylor. The purpose of the meeting was to review the warrants for the month and discuss pertinent fiscal matters. The meeting was called to order at 7:30. The following reports were presented and accepted by the committee. The treasurer's report for extracurricular for June, July, and August. The payroll summary report for the month of July. The internal claims audit report for September. System manager audit trail for September 1st through September 29th. Payroll certification for September 9th, September 22nd, and September 23rd. The committee received the warrants for the month. We reviewed and discussed following board agenda finance items, the budget transfers and approval of surplus for 2 door freezers at Bayview Elementary. We also discussed that the external auditors, Boris Abrams, are finalizing their audit for 21-22 school year. The audit committee will meet with Boris Abrams on Tuesday, October 18th at 6:30 p.m. We also discussed the proposed legislation that Mr. Tussey was referring to earlier related to property taxes. The meeting was adjourned at 7:45.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis. And while you're there, you will report for our Special Ed Committee as well. Thank you.
The committee met on October 4th in district office and via telephone. Committee members present were myself, administrative president Gene Dowling, Don Morrison, Gail Doherty. The meeting began at approximately 8:30. We discussed the status of some of the modifications that get presented to us tonight, and we discussed the upcoming building tour we will have for school board members at several of our schools, and we discussed several student placements, and the meeting ended at 8:45.
Okay, thank you again, Mr. McGinnis and everybody for those very informative committee reports. Business items with Ms. Pilati.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. May I have a motion for the approval of budget transfers 4240 through 4245 for the general funds and 4242 for the capital funds?
So moved. Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of a surplus broken freezer at Bayview Elementary School?
So moved. Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, Mrs. Pilati. Okay, can I have a motion of the approval, please, of the WIDA memorandum of agreement regarding salary schedule placement of leave replacements? So moved. Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion of approval regarding the statement, the State Environmental Quality Review Act, the SEQRA resolution, construction of new security vestibule at the administrative entrance at Beach Street Middle School? So moved. Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. On to our superintendent report with Dr. Romanelli.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey, and thank you to the high school pep band again and the teachers and administrators that made that great start to tonight's meeting possible. Looking forward to a great weekend coming up for homecoming. So we're recently sitting down to plan our fall newsletter and talking about really what we want to put out to the community about the work we've been doing to start the school year. We really had 2 themes that emerged. One was just the positive start and the energy that people have across the district and really, putting the best foot forward to have the best possible year for our students. And the second really was talking about the discussions we've been having about teaching and learning. We've really been focusing a lot on innovative teaching practices. We've been talking about student engagement. We've been talking about inquiry-based learning experiences, student-centered classrooms, meaningful assignments, and instruction in the classroom. And just having these great discussions about what teaching and learning look like and should look like in West Islip. We've visited some really great classrooms across the district. to see the wonderful things going on. And I think that through a bunch of different activities throughout the year, we're just going to keep those conversations going, keep building on the momentum we've started the year with. We have some district-wide book talks taking place, and Mrs. Morrison mentioned a few of those that she'll be leading up. We also have some community events where we'll be showcasing some different examples of student learning. And we'll also be involving stakeholders in our committees across the district and involving people in the decision-making process. So stay tuned for a lot of those different events throughout the year. And I would just say that really it's an exciting time to be in West Islip. I'm regularly, kind of bursting at the seams, thinking about all the great things that we have ahead of us. So we're just looking forward to collaborating with all of you on that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Romanelli. And I think I failed to mention, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I did at the PTA Council. Did we discuss the ceremony leading up to the parade? Okay, so just a reminder, Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning prior to the homecoming parade, there will be a ceremony at Udall Road Middle School where we are renaming the driveway after Mr. Hal Anderson. Hal Anderson was a principal of Udall Road Middle School for many, many years. I said prior, I unfortunately never got a chance to meet him, but I've heard such wonderful, incredible things about him, and I think it's a great honor that we can have for his family. So if you plan on attending the parade, why not come a little earlier and witness this fantastic event? With that being said, we will move on to the invitation to the public. Ms. Liu Chen has been very patient. I thank you for that.
Good evening, Board. My name is Glenn Luchin. I have been a volunteer mentor for the West Islip High School Robotics Team 871 for more than 15 years. The West Islip Robotics team thanks you for your support. Last season, Team 871 had a successful season and competed well in the Hofstra first robotics competition in the spring. One of our students, Christopher Palazzo, was awarded the Dean's List Award for the regional and international competitions. This award celebrates outstanding student leaders whose passion for and effectiveness at attending first ideals is exemplary. He represents our future entrepreneurs. The team is now preparing for a preseason competition. Students have already broken out into sub-teams such as mechanical, electrical, software, and business. New team members are learning how to work the crafting machines and write computer code in preparation for a Half Hollow Hills competition on Saturday, October 29th. We welcome you to come see the team there or at the high school on Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. Thank you again for your support. And I would like to just provide to you some flyers and the invites to the board members.
Please do, thank you. I am very grateful that you came down and shared this information with us. I know robotics probably does not get enough recognition that it should. As an educator, I see all too well how much work goes into it and how much the kids get out of it. So I thank you. I definitely would like to stop down at one of these Thursday nights and meet everybody and part of the team. So again, thank you, and please congratulate everybody for all their accomplishments. Okay, and we do have one more card, which is Patty McCabe.
Hello. I attended the last safety committee meeting where an item discussed, I had to write this down so I'll get all confused, led to another discussion regarding a medical event that happened at a sporting event at the high school. Thankfully, that person was attended to quickly, but it led me to think about how our district is prepared. Less than a week prior to that event, I was at a school meet at least 45 minutes away. The cross-country team competed against one other team. A few parents spectated for an attendance, and one coach for each team. These gentlemen ran into the woods. We saw them for 10 seconds. They ran into the woods, completed their run. We saw them for the last 10 seconds. It was worth my 45-minute drive, but nonetheless. When they finished, the last runner finished the race, the team came together to compare their times. At that moment, a young athlete from the opposing team fell to the ground. It was a scary event to witness. Parents at the event included a critical care nurse, a retired police officer, and retired FDNY officer, and thankfully they jumped in to help. A few takeaways. We only had one coach. They only had one coach. I'm sure the event at the high school, that team also only had one coach. There's no volunteers, there's no assistants. I don't know if they want it that way, if there's a reason for that. I know some of our teams have many coaches. The other one, and I don't know if you guys can answer this, but maybe you can go back. I know Mr. Horan is probably the man to speak to, but at the committee meeting, didn't want to jump in. Are all our coaches first aid trained? Are they trained to use the AED? Somebody ran back to the bus to get the AED? You know, they used it to monitor the gentleman. Are they CPR certified? And another one, which was really a big one. Do our coaches carry the student info? Parent contact info, how to reach a parent, medical history, etc., with them to practices, meets, and games. This event, the coach had to get one of his athletes to run back to the bus to get his phone to call this poor student's brother who had been on the team previously to get the mother's phone. So we went from a student athlete running to the bus to call the brother to get the mother's phone number. It was crazy. The coach had to decide, do I go on the bus? I gotta take my kid back to school, but I'm gonna send this this young man by himself. Let me tell you, this went on for 20 minutes. We're in the middle of a big field. Yes, the EMS came, thankfully. We heard the next day he's okay. It was really, even the students from the other team, I couldn't do anything with the AED or any of that. But as a mom, I took those kids to the side. Who's going to grow up? Who starts praying? It was hard. And I thought, there's only one coach here. What would happen if he was that coach? What would these kids do? And even worse, our student athletes questioned, what if that had happened to that young man on that track, on that trail? Well, we didn't see him. It was a discussion with my son, shared with the kids that I know on his team. Obviously, some of you stay with him. The rest of you run as fast as you know how, pretty fast. Get out there and get an adult. But it was just like a scene. And after that happened, and then I hear about what happened at an event here at our high school, that thankfully for both of them. But it could have turned something totally different. I didn't ask either of those coaches. I know both of them from both teams. Do you carry the information? It wasn't, does this particular coach carry the information? What does the district do? What do we do overall?
So you really asked and mentioned a lot of very, very good and interesting questions, a lot of which sometimes until a situation occurs, like you can do all the planning you want, but there's always going to be something that we're not prepared for. It's safe to say that our coaches are all required to be first aid, CPR, and AED trained. I would have to follow up with Mr. Horan regarding the medical information. I know where I coach, any medical information that we need to know whether someone has an EpiPen or a diabetic or not, we're informed by the school nurse, and we are prepared for that as well. What happens if one of our athletes needs an ambulance ride and there's only one coach? I'd have to ask again, Mr. Horan, how that works. I can tell you personally, when it happened with an athlete I was coaching, I rode in the ambulance with the student, and the team went to the bus and followed us to the hospital. So I don't know if that's what our protocol here is. I'd have to follow up.
I feel like somebody wants to be on the bus with the students, but I remember a parent volunteered. He's like, I can't allow you. It's an emergency. I'm sure if they made that call to Mr. Horan out there, it would be different.
There's a lot of ifs.
Thankfully,
Mr. Horan probably has the answers to this.
I guess I want to make sure.
Yeah,
Because
of course.
thankfully, both of these students are okay. But totally could be something different.
I think the question that I really have is, what happens if the student does get hurt or passes out during the course in the woods? I have to imagine that might be a question for section. You know, do they have enough supervisors throughout the trail? Because God forbid someone needs or has a medical emergency. What do we do?
Okay, I don't know if there are any supervisors on the trail.
Yeah, it's.
It literally was one against another, so.
I'm definitely not a runner, so that's nothing I've ever participated in.
All right, you're gonna make me say that too? Yes, I don't run.
And Mrs. McCabe, I was aware, you know, our sons run together on that team. I wasn't there that day, but did hear it. It was very traumatic. And thanks to the coaches who did a great job. It's a tough sport because you are running in the middle of the woods, as you know, we go watch. But all the coaches, having coached here myself in the building, they're all CPR, AED, first aid certified. It's a qualification to become coach at the high school level. And I know the cross country team has since added a helper for another student, so they have now at least 2 people on that team. But it's certainly a good point to look at. But I know that coach did, from what I heard, our coach did a great job helping that student as well as our students. But there certainly can be more to look at for that sport. As a former cross country runner myself, I know you could be lost in the woods, and it's tough. So, but in terms of first aid, and I believe we'll have to check, but I think the final forms system that we use for reporting all the medical records for students may hold the key to having that information added on his phone, but I'm not sure, but we can check on that.
But that's another thing. We were in the middle of a Indian Island Park or whatever. It was like, we felt like we were in the middle of nowhere. We were staring, like, where's the ambulance coming from? When is it getting here? So the final form, literally, do they have a binder that has a copy of that yellow card that we fill out? Well, the final forms is probably better because it does have a lot of check things making up. But, you know, a binder.
Yep, that's what we'll have to check. I think the final forms for the coach should be all on the phone, but we can check on that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we have measures in place for a lot of the different items that you mentioned. However, we will took down notes of everything you shared, Ms. McCabe, and we'll definitely review the procedures there as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, it seems to be that's all we have for tonight, so I thank everybody for coming tonight. I highly encourage you all to attend the homecoming festivities coming up on Saturday. Can I have a motion, please, to adjourn to executive session where the board will discuss negotiations, litigation, and personnel? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. And let's go Mets this weekend.